I never hear her say we or us, it's I.
Reeked through the house. It's horrible. Every time I walk in, I was like,
yeah, you hurt her feelings.
I didn't mean to hurt her feelings.
That's really rude.
Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Grim. Today we have another wife swap episode reaction for you, and oh my god, does a spoiled brat of a woman slash wife slash mother ruin this entire episode. Literally, I thought we were about to be happy and have an episode with two wholesome families, because that is true. Both the families in this episode are very cool in different ways. But this one woman alone not only makes both the opposite husband and wife cry multiple times, but her attitude just ruins the entire show, and I'm honestly triggered over it. So if you want to see why I'm so angry, make sure you watch it to the very end. Thank you so much for the support in these videos. Anyways, let's get right on into it, shall we? So the two families we're going to be seeing today are the Bakers, who are a upper middle class, I'd say, type family. They live in a pretty nice house, and the father himself works 60-hour weeks, making all the dough for the family, while the wife, who kind of seems like a brat so far just in the intro alone, spends her days laying in bed, waiting to be served to hand and foot, whatever it's called. She gets breakfast in bed and everything, and their three children, I believe they're all girls, they're quite the same. They expect this one dad to do everything in the family, but we'll get into that. The other family is the Donahos or the Donahues. They pronounce it kind of weird, but it looks like it's spelled Donahue, I believe. They own a massive dairy farm in upstate New York, and instead of the dynamic of the Bakers, where only one man is doing everything in the family, they are all hands on deck, and all of them work on this dairy farm, tending to, I believe, 100 different cows. So quite a mix-up of worlds here already. I'm excited to see how this goes. You know how we start things off. We're just gonna go right to where the wives have officially switched places and they start to read the instructions for the other household to see how it's ran. This is always a good point where they realize just how different their lives are gonna be for the next week or so.
I can't believe this man does all this.
and start the laundry. She's a slave.
On Saturdays, I'll just stay in bed till 3 o'clock.
Oh my god, and this woman claims that, the baker woman I should say, claims that she lays in bed until 3 o'clock. Look, man, I have a pretty messed up sleep schedule. I wake up at around 1 p.m. some days myself. In fact, most days. 3 p.m. is really pushing it, especially if you're a mother. I mean, you don't have anything else to do. You couldn't hang out on the couch or anything. Nah, she's just chilling in bed until 3 p.m. Like I said, there's clips of her husband making her breakfast in bed, and he's out cleaning the house, vacuuming and everything, while she is doing nothing. She does not work, and instead the husband makes all the money, and she just likes to spend it. In fact, she even claims that she doesn't want to put her kids to work because they don't need to learn work ethic, and instead she can just give them money that she gets from her husband. How this guy's okay with that, I don't know. You know, some people like to provide for their family in that way, but when they all seem so ungrateful like this family does so far, that's just not worth it, all right? This lady has a very crappy attitude, and meanwhile, the other lady who works on the dairy farm is up at like 3 a.m. with the rest of her family, and they're toiling away trying to tend to these cows.
We also the cows ourselves. Is that what I touched? Oh my gosh.
And this lady's already having a freaking meltdown because she finds out, you know, that they have to breed the cows. And let's just say she held a certain vial or syringe, whatever this tool is called, in the fridge that is full of some cow milk, if that's the word I can use. I hate that I just described it that way, but you know what I'm talking about, all right?
You think it just comes right out of the cow? Is it? That's what it was. Oh my God, I gotta wash my hands.
She was holding the nut gun about 20 seconds earlier, and now she needs to wash her freaking hands because she just can't be around that. Also, I love that this is going to be a wake-up call for this woman who probably eats a ton of beef and interacts with, you know, food products every day because you're a human, you have to eat. But this is going to be a real wake-up call to the amount of work that goes into her being able to eat that stuff at an affordable price.
Jeff is a little different. I'm thinking about doing the dinner, you know, he really wants somebody to wait on him, I think.
And this is some mind-blowing lack of self-awareness from this bratty mother, the baker mother. She literally acts like this guy is so weird because he came in after getting up at 4 a.m. It's probably, you know, dinner time now. He's tired as hell, been working all day, and he's wondering what the meal is. And she's like, yeah, he's a little different. I think he expects for everybody to wait on him hand and foot. Lady, weren't you just laying in your freaking bed at 2 p.m. while your husband just brings in food for you? Like, also an amazing spread of food. I know he's doing it up for the show, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's it's about this quality every single day. The projection I'm ready for this woman to be doing this entire time is just unreal. Like, I know she realizes how much of a lazy bum she is, but she's gonna be pushing that narrative on this guy instead, when he's the opposite and is a workhorse. Hell, the whole family's a workhorse. They literally have their kids helping out on this farm, which is kind of a weird subject. You know, this is something that in the old days they did, and nowadays they still do. Farming is passed down through generations, but I do think they could probably work their kids a little bit less and hire some help, especially if they're making enough to make ends meet, because you shouldn't be having kids just to help raise, you know, your farm. I know that's how it was back in the day, like I said, but kids should be allowed to do other activities that aren't just farming. With that being said, though, you will see later that these kids absolutely love it, and this lady treats them like they're being forced into slave labor or something.
She seems to be an awful lot of fun, adventurous. I think by the end of the week, she's probably gonna be pretty tired, though.
And honestly, the husbands on this show, I am so shocked right now. Usually the past 3 episodes I've done, these guys are just scumbags, or there's at least one dad that sucks. But honestly, both of these dads are absolute sweethearts. This guy's saying nothing but nice things. The only negative thing he says is that she might be tired from being forced to work this week, which is true. She's gonna really not enjoy that. But he still seems like he's receiving this whole thing well, which usually in these older style shows, the dads are like, no, this ain't my wife, and unless she's hotter than my current wife, I don't really like having her around. So anyways, they have a early wake up. She actually wakes up an hour later than they should have, at 5 in the morning instead of 4 in the morning, and she really just does not have a good time in this barn. The smell is getting to her. Look, I realize that's shocking, but again, this is you coming to terms with the fact that you are interacting with these animals to eat them. So if you can't really take working in a barn like this, maybe that will change your mind on how the whole food thing happens in your house. I don't know. I'm not a vegetarian myself, but I know for me personally, working on a dairy farm, it would definitely be a wake-up call. And I know the smell all too well. I won't get too into it. It'll probably be a good story time sometime, but my first official job was actually hellish, and I worked there for 2 days only. But it was a very similar situation like this. It was kind of just a very rural farm. Literally the first day, sorry to stray into this tangent, but I just have to share this with y'all. The way that I ended my shift, and this was me having my first job at 16, so it was a bit of a wake-up call already having to go to a job and work it. But then they close out my shift. It's pouring rain. They tell me, okay, go to this barn, shovel up all the fish guts. That's right. It wasn't actually a farm. It was like a fish hatchery / bait shop, and we were making fish bait all day. They had me take these giant pans of just old fermented fish guts and heads that were just full of maggots and flies, dump it out in the field while it's pouring rain, and then head over to this other chicken coop that's 500 feet away and shovel up wheelbarrows full of old chicken crap to cover the dead fish guts with, so that animals didn't come and, you know, eat the dead rotting fish. I feel like what she's experiencing right now is kind of like the pure shock of what I had my first day of working there. And now you guys know why I only worked there 2 days. Like, literally, I'm about to gag just thinking about it. Very glad I get to do this as a job now. Let's just say that. But then on the flip side, the other mother gets to stay in bed until 3 p.m. and that's almost a challenge for her because she's used to waking up and getting to work. And it bugs her being able to hear that the dad is vacuuming and doing all this house cleaning while also making her an immaculate breakfast. Needless to say, the work being done in this Baker household is not shared equally, and that really is annoying to me and to this woman.
He's just bossy and arrogant, and I just don't like him at all. I don't like the way he takes advantage of his kids.
And meanwhile, the Baker mother has nothing nice to say about the husband, who was just saying that he's excited to try things with her. He knows that she's, you know, exciting and full of life, but she might be a little tired. And meanwhile, she's like, I don't like him. He takes advantage of his children. He makes them work all day. He should be arrested. Like, all right, Karen, chill out. Like I said, they probably shouldn't work him as hard as they do, but when you're a farmer and this is literally how you make your living, this is kind of a different, older school style of living. That's what you do. You raise your kids and they help you out in the farm. Once they're adults, they can make the choice to move away and not help with the farm if they want. But for right now, it's all hands on deck in this house because 100 cows or whatever, you know, amount they have, that's a lot to deal with.
The problem I'm having is they have to be driven to school. I just don't see any sense in that. I mean, if that's what her mother does, I guess I'll have to, but...
And what's funny is on the flip side, these spoiled brat type children, which they're not really as bad, but they're just following in the footsteps of their mother, so they are starting to become a little dramatic and, you know, prima donna-like. Their big thing is they won't ride the school bus, even though it's available, and the mother drives them to school, which is surprising that she would get up and do that. But that seems like it's going to be the main thing to change once they have this change week. And before we get into that, they actually go to one of the daughter's softball practices, and this wife has a full-on breakdown crying that she misses her husband. And it's actually kind of sad sad because then the nice baker husband, who is the one that's doing the 60-hour work weeks, working some corporate job and still cleaning the house and everything, he's kind of realizing to himself, wow, their household must be very nice if she's crying over missing her husband like this, because I haven't even thought of my wife all that much or cried that much. Look, I'm not saying that they have a loveless marriage, but I would have some deep-seated resentment if my wife was just laying in bed on the phone until 3 p.m. talking to her friends, expecting to have breakfast made for her in bed while I'm the one working, making the big bucks. But I love this guy. He's an absolute treat. Like, just the way he smiles when he talks, he's just adorable. It's really a nice change of pace to hear the dads be pretty cool in this show, as opposed to the recent episodes where the dads were the villains.
I have milked my last cow for as long as I live. Rick, why are you crying?
And this lady also, I haven't mentioned this, but she has the absolute worst drip, worst fashion taste I have ever seen on this show, even worse than that rich couple before. And that's what she spends a lot of her money on, is these clothes. Oh my God, is it atrocious. Her daughters followed suit too. I want you to check out, when you see their outfits sometimes, they're a bit shocking. But it's time for rule change, and the main rule that this mother makes for the farming family is that the children are not to help out with the farm for this next week. They're allowed to be children and do what they want. And what is the response? One of the kids freaking cries because he loves hanging out with the cows and helping out and feeling like he's responsible, learning how to do a job and all that. That's how twisted this mother has it. She thinks that these kids are just involved in some sort of slave labor where they have to toil away all day. And yes, it is hard work, but for them, that is fulfilling, and that is what they want to do because they think they're following in their dad's footsteps, and I think that's admirable. It's easy for us that don't live on a farm to, expect that, oh, kids should not have to work. And yes, I'm saying that if they want to be given the choice to not work, they should be able to do that. But these kids find value in that, and taking that away really does suck.
Evidently, the school bus must be a pretty big deal.
The girls immediately ignore Audrey's rule about drinking milk every day.
And that's right, the kids don't play along. Look, I don't expect the kids to do as well with this show because it's hard to just tell a kid what to do in general when you're their parent, let alone not their parent, and you're supposed to be them for like 2 weeks. Kids are gonna be dealing with that pretty poorly. But they don't drink the milk, and this causes the mother to just cry because she's like, dude, no progress is gonna be made. And I agree with her. This would be so frustrating. The point of the show is to switch lives for a week. You gotta at least try to do your part.
Have a great day. I love you. It's good to see your smiling face before I leave. Have a good day.
And we just get more wholesome clips of this nice dad here. Dude, the Baker dad is such a W. I can't get over it. I don't know why he's just so sweet and kind. And I'm just so not expecting that on this show.
I feel unfairly treated by Christy. She took my team away, so now I'm just a coach and I'm still playing the opposing team, the farm,
And what's messed up here is the show should have at least given them a budget to hire some people for this farm during this week where this guy has to work by himself. Because since he's now picking up the slack of what his family usually helps him out with and his wife and everything, he's having to only sleep 2 or 3 hours a night, and this dude is gonna be slowly losing his mind this week, working so hard while this lady lays in bed and expects food to still be made for her back at home.
But I married someone through school because I didn't want you to be safe. So listen,
Now, jumping back to the Baker family, like I said, these girls of theirs have kind of taken on some of the prima donna qualities that their mother has. And this bus ride debacle is so large that they say, you know what, we're gonna protest. I love this when kids just protest in the dumbest ways. They're like, we're gonna walk to school. I don't care if it's 20 miles. I'd rather not take public transport like a freaking pleb. My mom drives me, okay? I don't ride the school bus. Which also, I don't even know what their issue with the school bus is. I rode it my whole childhood. It was kind of lit, that feeling of having your head against the cold, frosted, wet glass in the morning. It's just rattling your brain as you listen to your MP3 player. You're sitting right behind like whatever heats up the seat. If you guys rode the school bus, you know what I mean. It's kind of nice, okay? It's a vibe. But these kids are so preppy that they're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Thankfully, one of them does walk back and decides that she will ride the school bus, so that is a slight win. The kids are playing along, but it's just so funny to see what is a big deal for these kids versus the other ones, which are waking up at 4 a.m. sometimes and milking cows all day when they're not in school.
So what have you been doing all day?
Chores, usual. Milking.
I need a napkin, please.
Okay. How is it?
I need a little salt.
And this lady, every time I see a clip of her with her stupid pink clothing, it almost feels like a character. She is just so not pleasant to be around, so selfish. This man is waiting on her hand and foot, and she's still like, can you get me salt? I need a napkin. Run back and forth to the kitchen. I'm not gonna get up. I don't walk around in my house except past 3 p.m. And even then, it's at a snail's pace.
A third of the way through my day so far, And I got a new woman in the house just breathing down my back.
And I feel for this guy. It'd be so frustrating to not only have to do all this work, look at his hair, it's all unkept. It's because he has like 2 hours of sleep in the past 72 hours, and he's losing his freaking mind as this lady is just rotting him from the inside out with her attitude.
Jeff's upset because he doesn't like to be asked what to do or told what to do at all.
And more projection from this absolute Karen. Are you kidding me? You are the one that doesn't like to be told what to do. You literally didn't even cooperate and barely did anything with the cows when it was your week to do what the family does. And now you expect this guy to not only run an entire farm by himself, but also be your servant. Screw you, you lazy piece of trash. I hate this woman. I don't know why. This is just so annoying. And if you want to see some crazy juxtaposition of their attitudes, this woman who has not been shown interacting with the children or the family at all, she pretty much treated this as a way to continue her lifestyle in some other house. She's laying in their bed all day, and now she's just sipping wine and is like, yeah, there's some crap in the bathtub that no one wanted to clean out, so I'm not getting a bath tonight. And meanwhile, this guy is over here losing his freaking mind, continuing to work. This actually leads him to a mental breakdown where he fully just starts bawling his eyes out, talking about how he also misses his wife. And this just goes to show how much more love is again in this household versus the Baker household. The father has a lot of love for the whole family, but this lady, I don't even know why she's married, why she has kids. She's so selfish. She needs to just live life by herself.
I never hear her say we or us. It's I and Nat with her and her kids and husband.
And the way he just put that is a perfect way to phrase it. This lady is only speaking for herself. She's only talking about I, me. It's never us or we. It's never a family vibe. And I know this isn't her official family, but you can just see her true colors in this whole episode. She is so lazy and entitled and selfish that really she is not a good mother. And that is a true misstep from her in terms of her personality. Something I don't think she'll ever come to terms with either, because she just seems like an absolute narcissist. And those are the types of people that never learn. But I feel so bad. This dude has cried. The woman's cried. She's making everybody cry this episode. Thankfully, the week is about over. In the final night, they actually give the Donahue mother a makeover, and even the kids themselves are like, I wish she was my mom. She treats me like a good mom. It's so funny how the kids say this. Like, kids don't have a filter, even teenagers. So the fact that they're saying this shows how much yearning they have for a better relationship with their mother that they're simply not going to have, because she's lounged up in the room all day waiting for her meal like it's Uber Eats and talking to her friends on the phone.
I know that Jeff takes full advantage of Audrey, and Richard would never do that. And I really don't take advantage of him.
The cognitive dissonance in her world. She claims that she does not take advantage of her husband and he doesn't take advantage of her, but this guy takes advantage of his wife because, you know, they both have to work on the freaking dairy farm that they need to survive, because the other wife doesn't have a rich husband that also works super hard to feed them. So it's okay. I'm getting too aggravated here. Now I'm just going to skip forward to where they meet, and this is not a good time. It just continues her terrible attitude. I can't stand this woman.
I feel like they don't think on their own, that they're like robots. I do. Get up at 4:30 in the morning, come home, get dressed, go to school.
And she continues with this annoying rhetoric that they're basically taking advantage of their kids by making them work all day, which is total BS. Yes, I think they could find a better balance, and maybe they can be more open to discussing with the children if they would be down to do less work and maybe hire some help. But again, it's a complex situation. It's a farm. Literally, the world doesn't eat if these don't run, and there's tough work to be done on a farm. So I don't know what you expect, lady.
I think that our girls, just because they don't work, they're very responsible children. You know,
I don't think the work would hurt them at all.
And thankfully, the husband here, the Baker husband, actually stands up for once and is like, you know what? We are kind of raising little miniature replicas of you, and I don't want that around the house. It probably would be good to give our kids some responsibility and some work. And he's not even talking about a real job. He's just saying chores around the house to help him out so he doesn't have to do all of it after his 60-hour work weeks. And what's her response? Oh, it's gold. It's just more gold coming out of this ugly fashion, having just terrible, no drip having rude woman.
I think it would definitely need to be major part-time with the soccer. And
That is so you, though. It's major part-time, so it won't hurt them to have responsibilities.
And you could tell this other dad loves that she's being talked back to. The silence is deafening from this other woman, too, because she is not used to being talked back to from her husband like this. She's used to him being subservient. And you want to talk about her saying the other dad couldn't take criticism well and couldn't be told what to do? Look at her, just shutting down here, being flabbergasted that her husband's actually speaking up against her.
You didn't step back and look at the whole picture.
I came in the house, and I was like, what is that smell? And I figured out it was the cow manure.
So then the other father says, I feel like you didn't take the time to step back and look at our situation and consider how we are as a family, which is true. Like I said, she just continued her lifestyle the entire week and expected to be waited on hand and foot. Didn't really take in how their family was or do anything to add to their family except for tell the kids to, you know, not work on the farm. And then she immediately doesn't take any of that in and just starts bagging on their house and is like, I actually went in there and it smelled like crap and poo. And what do you know? It makes this other mom cry again. That's right. We have 3 tear sessions in this episode from this other family, mainly due to how terrible this other woman is. Like I said, she ruined this entire episode.
I couldn't stand it. Every time I walk in, I was like,
Yeah, you hurt her feelings.
I didn't mean to hurt her feelings.
That's okay. Really rude.
And her inability to read a room and her narcissism is crazy here. You can see the woman start to quiver her lip and cry as she's embarrassed because somebody said that it smelled like cow manure in her house. That's totally normal to be embarrassed by that. She's humiliated, and instead this lady just keeps going on like some insufferable baboon. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. I have never been so angry at a show, I think. Like, this woman is just despicable. And you can see the husband is not satisfied with her. He's just like, you're pretty rude. And literally it cuts off after that. The show ends. They go back their separate ways. I think no matter what, the Donahue family, I probably wouldn't want to live there because there's a lot of freaking work, but that is a better household over there because, dude, the love between these two is unreal. They missed each other quite a bit, and they both pick up the slack in their household, whereas I don't really see much changing besides with the daughters of the other household. Hopefully they help out the dad more, but there's no way we're getting through this lady's thick skull and changing her ways anytime soon. So let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comments below. I'm so glad you guys have been enjoying the series because this is a very good show to react to. Like, it gets the emotions right out of me, as you can tell. If you want more content or you want to support me in another way, make sure you check out my Patreon. Thank you to all my patrons over there. You guys are showing mad support. As always, absolute love for all of you. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and until next time, peace out.